The door was open. I walked in and called his name. "Ethan?" I said. No answer. The house was quiet. I looked around. His shoes were on the floor. His jacket was on the chair. His keys were on the table. Then I saw his wallet. It was on the table, too. That was strange. He never left without it. I picked it up. It felt heavy. I opened it to see if he had money inside. I wanted to buy some eggs, but something else was there. A photo. I pulled it out. It was small. It showed a woman. I did not know her. She had short, dark hair. She wore a green dress. She smiled. She held a small white dog. My hands felt cold. I looked at the photo again. Who was she? Why was her picture in my husband's wallet? I live in Houston, Texas. I am 29 years old. My name is Nicole. I do not have many friends. I do not have a big family. I work hard and keep to myself. Ethan and I met 3 years ago. We got married after 1 year. He was kind, funny, and sweet when we met. He asked about my day. He made me feel safe. We did not have much money, but I was happy. I thought he loved me. I thought I could trust him. That day, after I found the photo, I sat down on the couch. My hand still held the picture. My mind was full of noise. Was this a woman from his past? Was she someone from work? Did he still talk to her? I put the photo back in the wallet. I placed the wallet where I found it. I waited for Ethan to come home. When he walked in, he smiled and said, "Hi, I'm back." I smiled too, but my smile was fake. I watched him. He took off his shoes. He kissed my cheek. He asked what we would eat. I answered, but my eyes kept looking at him. My heart beat fast. That night, I could not sleep. I turned in bed. I looked at him. He was sleeping. His face looked calm. Mine did not. My head was loud with questions. I remembered how he used to bring me small gifts. He used to call me during the day. Now, he looked at his phone more than my face. He laughed while texting, but I did not know who he was texting. The next morning, I woke up early. I made breakfast. I waited. He came to the table. I watched him eat. I asked, "Do you have any old friends I don't know about?" He looked at me and said, "What kind of question is that?" I said, "Just wondering." He laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. He said, "Why are you being strange?" I said, "I'm not." But I was. When he left for work, I went to the bedroom. I looked inside his jacket. I wanted to find something else. I did not know what, but I found a small card. It was from a flower shop. It said, "Same time next week." The card had a name, Claire. I never got flowers from him. Not one. I held the card. My hands started to shake again. Was he buying flowers for someone else? I waited until evening. He came home. He looked tired. He said, "Long day." I said, "Did you see your friend today?" He said, "What friend?" I said, "The one you always meet." He looked at me. "What are you talking about?" I said nothing. I just smiled and walked to the kitchen. That night, I looked at the photo again. I had taken it from the wallet. I put it in my drawer. I stared at her face. I felt something in my chest. Not anger. Not just pain. It was fear. What if he still loved her? What if he lied to me every day? I lay in bed. My eyes were open. I did not sleep. Days passed. I watched him more. He was quiet. He did not ask me about my day. He left the house at strange times. One Sunday he said, "I'm going to help a friend." I asked, "What friend?" He said, "Just someone from work." I asked, "What's his name?" He said, "You don't know him." Then he left. I stood by the window. I watched the cars. He did not come back for hours. When he came home, he brought a bag of cookies. He said, "Here, for you." I took them, but I did not eat them. My mouth felt dry. My hands were cold. Later that week, he left his phone on the table. He went to take a shower. The phone beeped. A message. I picked it up. The name on the screen said Claire. My heart jumped. The message said, "Thank you for today. I'll miss you." I dropped the phone. When he came back, I acted normal. I asked, "Did you meet Claire today?" He looked at me. His face changed. "Why do you ask?" He said. I said, "I saw your phone." He did not speak for a moment. Then he said, "She's just a friend." I said, "Is she the woman in the photo?" He looked away. Then he said, "Yes, but it's not what you think." I wanted to scream, but I did not. I walked away. I went to the bedroom and closed the door. I sat on the bed. I cried. I did not make a sound. My body shook. My hands covered my face. He knocked on the door. He said, "Nicole, please let me talk." I said nothing. I did not want to hear lies. Not now. That night, I sat by the window. I looked at the dark sky. I thought about the last 2 years. I thought about every smile, every word. I asked myself, was it all fake? My heart felt heavy. I wanted to believe he loved me. But now, I was not sure. The photo, the flower card, the messages, they were real. The pain was real too. I stayed quiet for many days. I did not ask more. I did not say much. He tried to act normal. He said jokes. He made coffee, but I was not the same. I could not smile like before. I could not eat like before. I did not trust his words. One night I said, "Do you still love me?" He looked at me. His eyes looked tired. He said, "Of course." But I felt no truth in his voice. I got up and walked to the window. I looked out. Then I said, "I don't believe you." He said nothing. I knew something had changed. I could feel it in my heart. I am sharing my story, hoping they reach someone. Are you there? Are you listening? Just knowing you're here means everything. I woke up early the next day. The sun was not out yet. The room was dark. I looked at the wall. I could hear Ethan sleeping. I did not move. I just lay there. My eyes were open. My heart felt heavy. I thought, what do I do now? I loved him. Or maybe I just loved the man I thought he was. I got up and went to the kitchen. I made tea. I sat at the table. My hands held the warm cup. But I did not drink. I just sat there. The house was quiet. I looked at the floor. I saw his shoes near the door. I saw his jacket on the chair. I saw everything. But I felt nothing. Just pain. Ethan came in an hour later. He looked at me. He said, "Morning." I said, "Morning." He poured coffee. He sat down. He looked at his phone. He asked, "Did you sleep?" I said, "Not much." He said, "Me too." Then he stood up and left the room. The day felt long. I went to work, but I could not think. I made mistakes. My hands dropped things. My mind was far away. My manager asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." But I was not. After work, I walked home. I looked at people on the street. They laughed. They talked. I felt alone, like I was behind glass, like I was not part of this world. When I got home, Ethan was in the kitchen. He was making food. He said, "You're back." I said, "Yes." He asked, "Hungry?" I said, "No." I walked to the bedroom. I closed the door. I sat on the bed. My hands pulled the photo out from the drawer. I looked at her again. Her smile. Her eyes. The dog. I felt something inside me break again. Ethan knocked on the door. I did not answer. He came in. He saw the photo in my hand. He looked at it. Then he looked at me. He sat down on the chair near the bed. He said, "Her name is Claire. She was in my life before I met you." I said nothing. He said, "We were together for a year. Then she left. She moved away. She got a new job in another state." I said, "Then why do you still have her photo?" He looked down. He said, I don't know. I kept it. I didn't want to throw it away. I said, But you still meet her. He looked up. He said, We met once. I saw her 2 weeks ago. I asked, Why? He said, She called. She said she was in town. She wanted to talk. So I went. I asked, Did you lie to me that day? He said, Yes. I felt the pain in my chest. I looked away. I asked, Do you still love her? He was quiet. Then he said, I don't know. I stood up. I could not hear more. I said, Get out. He looked at me. He said, Please, Nicole. I said again, Get out. He stood and left the room. I closed the door. I sat on the floor. I held the photo. Then I ripped it. I tore it into small pieces. I dropped the pieces on the floor. I cried. I cried for a long time. My chest hurt. My eyes burned. My hands shook. That night, I did not eat. I did not speak. Ethan stayed in the living room. I stayed in the bedroom. The house was quiet, but it felt full of pain, like the walls could feel it too. The next morning, I did not make breakfast. I did not say goodbye. I left the house and walked to work. At work, I moved slowly. My head was heavy. My body felt tired. I wanted to go home, but I did not want to see Ethan. When I came home, he was not there. I felt a little free. I sat on the couch. I looked at the empty room. I thought about our time together, the walks, the laughs, the quiet evenings, the small gifts. I thought, were they real? He came back later. He stood at the door. He looked at me. I looked back. He said, We need to talk. I said, Then talk. He sat down. He said, I met her once. That is true. I lied. That is true. But I do not want her back. I was just confused. I wanted to know if I still had feelings, but I don't. I saw her. We talked. Then I knew. I did not want that life again. I wanted to come home to you. I looked at him. I asked, Then why did you keep the photo? He said, I don't know. Maybe I was not ready to let go. But I am now. I said, It's too late. He said, Please, give me one more chance. I said nothing. I got up. I walked to the bedroom. I closed the door. I sat on the bed. My hands were cold. My head was full. I wanted to believe him, but I did not trust him. He knocked. He said, I'll sleep on the couch. I said, Do what you want. He walked away. That night I looked at the ceiling. I thought about everything. My love, his lies, the pain, the fear, the trust that was broken. I did not know what to do. Days passed. We lived in the same house, but we were not the same. We said little. We moved slow. He tried to talk. I stayed quiet. He made dinner. I did not eat much. He said sorry many times, but the word did not fix my heart. One Sunday, I walked to the park. I sat on a bench. I watched the trees. I saw a family play with a dog. I thought of the photo, the dog, the smile, the lie. An old woman sat next to me. She looked at me. She said, "You look sad." I smiled a little. I said, "I am." She said, "Talk to me, child. I have time." So I talked. I told her about Ethan, the photo, the flower shop, the lie. She listened. Then she said, "Men can be fools, but hearts are smart. What does your heart say?" I said, "It says I'm hurt." She said, "Then don't rush. Hurt needs time." I said, "What if I can't trust him again?" She said, "Then maybe you don't need him." I said, "I still love him." She said, "Love is not always enough. Trust is the key." She stood. She smiled. She said, "Take care of your heart. No one else will." Then she walked away. I sat there for a long time. I thought about her words. I thought about Ethan. I thought about myself. That night I told Ethan, "I need time." He asked, "What does that mean?" I said, "I don't know yet, but I need it." He said, "Okay." So I slept in the bedroom. He slept on the couch, and we waited. I stayed quiet for many days. I did not talk much at home. I went to work. I came back, and I stayed in my room. Ethan cooked dinner sometimes. He washed the dishes. He tried to talk, but I did not answer much. I needed time. My heart was still full of pain. One night he knocked on the door. I said, "Yes?" He said, "Can I come in?" I waited a few seconds, then said, "Okay." He sat on the chair near the bed. He looked tired. He said, "I know I hurt you. I was stupid. I should not have lied. I didn't know what I felt." I looked at him. I said, "That is not good enough." He said, "I know." He looked at the floor. He said, "I thought about her a lot, but after I saw her, I knew I don't want her. I want us. I want to be better. I want to fix this." I said, "You broke my trust." He said, "I'll wait. I'll do whatever you need. I just want a chance." I didn't answer. He got up and left the room. I sat there for a long time. I felt tired. My heart felt heavy again. A few days later, I got a message from an old friend. Her name was Jenna. She said, "Hey, want to meet for coffee?" I said yes. I needed to talk to someone. We met at a small cafe near my street. She looked at me and said, "You look different. Is everything okay?" I told her the story. I told her about the photo, about Claire, about the flower shop, about the lie. She listened. Then she said, "You didn't deserve that." I said, "I know." She said, "Do you want to leave him?" I said, "I don't know." She held my hand. She said, "You have a good heart. Don't forget that. If he wants to stay, he must earn your trust again." I smiled. I felt a little better. I went home. Ethan was in the kitchen. He looked at me. I looked back. I said, "We can talk." He said, "Okay." We sat at the table. I said, "If you want to fix this, you must show me. Not just talk. No more lies. No more secrets." He said, "I promise." From that day, things started to change. Slowly, he stayed home more. He asked about my day. He cooked with me. He looked at me when he talked. He gave me time. He did not rush me. One weekend, we went for a walk. We used to walk together before. We stopped doing that. But now, we tried again. The sky was blue. The air felt nice. We didn't talk much, but we walked side by side. He said, "I threw away the photo." I said, "Good." He said, "I told Claire not to call again." I said, "I hope that's true." He said, "It is." Days turned into weeks. Slowly, I felt a little safer. Not like before, but better. One evening, he brought me flowers. The note said, "For the only woman I want." I smiled. Just a little. But I smiled. Still, the fear was inside me. What if he changed again? What if he was lying? My heart was not ready to trust him fully. But I was trying. Then one night, we had dinner together. After dinner, we sat on the couch. He said, "Can I tell you something?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I made a big mistake, but I want to make things right. I want to be a better husband. I want to learn. I don't want to lose you." I looked at him. His eyes looked soft. His voice was low. I said, "Then be honest every day. Never lie again. That's all I ask." He said, "I will." I did not forgive him in one day. I did not forget the pain, but I let him stay. I let him try. I watched. I waited, and I hoped. Weeks passed. We talked more. We laughed sometimes. We ate together. We walked again. My heart was still slow, but it was not closed. One day, I looked at him and thought, maybe I can trust again. I still remembered the photo, the flower card, the message, but I also saw the man in front of me, and he was trying. I still keep a line in my heart, a line I will not let him cross again. If he lies again, if he hurts me again, I will leave. But for now, I stay. Not for weakness, but for love and for myself. I know who I am now. I am not just a wife. I am a woman who can stand alone if needed. I am not scared to be alone. I am only scared of staying in a place where love becomes lies. Ethan knows this now, and maybe that is why he is changing. I don't know what the future will bring, but I know this. I will not live in silence again. I will not live in fear. I will ask questions. I will speak my heart. And if love is real, it will stay. If it is not, I will walk away. But for now, I will try.